Welcome back, YouTube, for the first match in our round 2 tie during the group stage of Season 3 European Post-Scriptum Ladder. Today, we're playing 2 matches back-to-back. We've got KGK going up against VDP. KGK are going to be attacking for the first round with VDP on the defense. Today, I'm joined by Reed, my co-cast from 6J. He's going to be helping me with information tonight because it's going to be a long game, and my voice is probably going to break. So we called on some aid tonight. I've got my co-caster. Okay, so let's see how these teams set up, shall we?
Let's have a gander.
I'm going to fly over. So how do you pronounce this first cap?
Vogelenzang.
Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Looks like we got all players as well with us, so no one disconnected, so we should be good to start. 80-second starting phase, and it looks like VDP are spreading out. They're looking to do a wide perimeter. That's what we usually see in these competitive games. We usually see the defenders. What's the key word 6J have?
Sporadicity, mate. All about that sporadicity.
That's it, and that's what we see a lot of teams do on defense. They always spread out quite far, good spacing. They create a large perimeter. It gives them lots of eyes. They can watch any attacks that are coming in. They're able to signal out to the rest of their team, and they can be prepared on all sides. How does it look over at KGK?
Just heading over there just now. Excited to see what armored vehicles they'll be bringing in the first wave.
It's interesting to see. I've just seen a VDP. They've actually spawned a couple of squads on the second cap, so it looks like they are going to be prepared to make sure they don't get encircled, and that's something we saw KGK do a lot of in their first matches.
Yeah, it's a smart move from them. So it looks like we've got ourselves a Puma. Their Panzer 4F1 from the 91st Panzer boys. Be interesting to see if they pair up the scout car and the tank.
Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if that Puma went deep early on to try intercept the defenders' Logi trucks and MSPs as they come forward.
Oh, disastrous start there from Mr. Blonde. Driven right into a lamppost. What a muppet.
You can never practice too much. It reminds me of the this game in Season 2 on Best where someone drove off the bridge at the beginning with their MSP.
I saw that. That was hilarious. I love that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Eggman flying down the main road here towards the cap. Looks like he's going in for a closely located MSP on that first cap zone that Vogelenzang. Getting some airtime too. Lovely.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be placing that MSP up on the north, and it looks like they're going to send one south. So they're probably going to try to do like a pincer attack from north and south. There goes the first from Eggman. You can see already the Storm Boys spawning in that north place. I'm just opening up the map, and I can see there's basically a blue line from VDP moving forward on the defense, trying to take as much map control as they can at the beginning. And as we see in these competitive games, they usually leave the cap quite empty, and that's no difference here. The cap actually only has a couple of defenders around it, so VDP will have to be careful to make sure no one actually rushes into the cap and holds those buildings down, because that could be an issue for them early on.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a wide perimeter going down here. They've got some guys on the edge of the river line. They're heading down east, southeast towards that Sturm squad with Eggman and co. So it's going to be an interesting first contact here. Zolfin running up the flank there with a machine gun. Ready to put down some fire on those guys advancing towards them. Tank's just on scene now, so we've got a few casualties already there.
We had a machine gun open up from the defenders there, taking down Trigger, Niz, and Nickel from the Storm guys. They did get a rally down just in time. And you're right, this P3 is now on scene. It's able to put shots down range. I'm just trying to remember, the P3, if I remember rightly, is one of the German tanks that has smokes. One of the only ones that actually has. So it'll be interesting to see if they use that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I do believe that's a Panzer 4F1 though. I could be mistaken, but I think that's a Panzer 4.
I always get confused between the P3 and 4.
Sorry to be that guy.
yeah, it's fine, it's fine. They look so similar.
Zolfman taken down there on that right flank, enemy contact over there. The VDP guys taking some casualties on that flank.
Yeah, I've zoomed
Tanks
all the
open up
way
on them too.
south, and there is one Squad 5 member from VDP. It looks like he went all the way south, and he was looking for that fob, potentially, or MSP that goes all the way south, and he's already spotted a bunch of Storm members heading deep south, so that's a good position from him, calling out some good information, no doubt, to the rest of his team, aware of
Absolutely.
that flank.
You see the enemy commander Alyasa from VDP shifting back down the riverside, closer to his advancing armored friends, trying to stay away from that squad. Seeing some good moves here from Sturm. Early contact. They seem to be winning the firefights, which is good to see. From
We
their
have, yeah.
perspective.
In the south as well, they've done something a little bit unusual. They've actually built a 88 millimeter all the way on my position next to the commander for KGK, and they're putting some good shots down range with it. We saw that in the round one as well. They built two 88s very early on, and they were very lethal. They were firing across the map with those things. It's the P1Z, what was it? The 91 PCD boys, the tank boys, and they seem to like those big 88s.
Yeah, absolutely. Good placement there in the open, so very susceptible to airborne threats, be it strafe or bomb, but getting that damage in early, making it easier for your infantry boys to get up is a key point in these games, making sure you get into the cap as soon as possible. So good position in there, smart move.
It is, it is. One thing I do like about VDP this game is they're very well spread on the defense. Earlier on in their matches, and their pre-season matches as well, that I luckily got to cast in their training matches, they were still under the mindset of grouping up on the cap and being very grouped together to hold the cap. It looks like they've adapted to the European tactics now, and they have these wide map controlling defenses. And it's nice to see they're growing like that with these strategies, and hopefully it pays off for them.
Absolutely. When you're new to a certain type of gameplay or a meta, it's important that you try and adapt or overcome the obstacles you face and trying to get to grips with these things. So it's good to see them innovating or adapting to the gameplay style. It would be nice to see if they stuck to their guns a little bit more, especially in the first match. We noticed their cap envelopment was really good, and that was partly, in fact, because they fought as a squad. Not so spread out as they are now, but needs must, I suppose.
That's true, that's true. One thing we didn't point out about this match as well is actually one of the rarer maps on Chapter 1. It's where the Germans are actually on the attack and the Brits are on the defense. How do you feel about that?
It's an interesting dynamic, especially for Drill. It's all flipped upside down, as you say, so it's nice to see something a bit different. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the German tanks also match up against the Allied tanks, because usually it's the German tanks, they're a little bit heavier, a little bit slower, so they're a little bit more advantageous in defense, but this time the German tanks are going to be the ones who have to go on the offensive, so it'll be interesting how they match up against the Allied tanks. I can see the Allies, they have a Churchill out on the field, and I'm trying to zoom over to see what the other the tank is. It is a Firefly, so a very strong tank deck for them. A Firefly and a Churchill would begin with, but they are being hunted down by the Ravagers KGK A-teammen who were deadly last game in hunting down tanks, so VDP will have to be careful with their tanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping your tanks alive at the early stages of the game, is very, very important. If you lose that heavy armored capability early on, it can definitely set you back later in the match.
That's true, that's true. And it's something we're seeing competitive matches kind of changing their tactics on. Usually we used to see they would rush out the heavy tanks, their best tanks, as fast as possible. We see a lot of clans now, what they'll usually do, they'll keep their heavy tanks in reserve and bring out their mediums or their lighter tanks first. And there's several reasons to do that, to gauge what the enemy has, so you can bring out a tank to counter whatever their tank they have. And also the lighter tanks usually are better at rushing at the beginning. And a lot of these caps on Chapter 1 especially, it's all about rushing as the attackers. So well, let's see, is that something VDP changes in the future, or if they're going to stick to their guns and keep bringing out their heavy tanks early on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's for a lot of people, it's better to get the early, the lighter tanks at the road first. See what the enemy's packing early on, so you can sort of adapt to that later in the game. But I think with armor, a lot of it's down to skill. I know people who could ruin a team with a Staghound and then crumble with King Tiger at their disposal. So it's a lot. I think tanks specifically in this game are very, very skill based. So it's dependent on the crews. The crews can do as much damage as they choose to with their tanks. It doesn't matter what they're in, I think.
That's true, that's true. And I can see this beautiful push coming up forward with the P4 with that infantry behind. This is what KGK did amazingly well in their round 1 matches, that tank support with infantry nearby. And I'm looking at the map, but there's also an infantry squad flanking around to the north west of the cap. So VDP is going to have to be careful here. They are being encircled. They did just lose one of their MSPs, I believe, and KGK are doing what they did good in the first round, and that's encircling the cap and bleeding out the enemy slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys on the back cap here, the 7ID and some of the Sturm dudes who moved up the riverbank are already on the second cap, so kind of important for VDP to try and react to this response and not jeopardize the first cap zone if they can help it. They're looking quite light on the ground. There's not a lot of resources there to help out the guys at the first cap, so
yeah,
hopefully they can get into a position to defend it better shortly.
They have a lot of infantry that seems to be cut off in the south. They went after that 88 early on. Now they're having to rush back. It's going to be a long run for them to get back there, and they're already being intercepted by a squad from Uber and 7ID, so their reinforcements are going to be a long way away, and they also don't have an MSP nearby, so they're relying on squad rallies now and that second hard spawn.
Very, very precarious situation here for VDP on the first point. As mentioned, these guys are moving in on the cap zone now from all angles, so the tighter the squeeze, the more difficult it is to get out of it. So hopefully they can pull something out soon. I'm trying to find where their armor is at the moment. I don't quite see it.
Their armor got intercepted by a AT man from KGK, so they had to regroup and repair, I believe. I did notice the P4 is actually on about 20 to 30% health. It looks like it got hit by a Piat at some point, and that's happened to RIB for a moment to go get repaired. So VDP is still holding on, but it's looking a little bit desperate for them at this point.
Yeah, certainly. Given the nature of their defense, very sporadic, very spread out, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, especially if the enemy has a weighted attack on one angle. If you don't get the proportionate response to that in a good amount of time, the cap zone could crumble quite quickly, which I think is what we might be seeing here. There's not a lot of bodies on the ground, so hopefully they can stabilize a bit.
Right. One thing that might change this up, though, is the Firefly and the Churchill. They're quickly approaching the first cap. If the infantry can hold on and if these tanks can arrive on time, that might be able to sway the battle and hold KGK back just a little bit for VDP to reorganize and get their infantry to start reinforcing again with their MSP or rallies and so forth.
Yeah, fingers crossed for them. So really good moves on the north here. The Sturm guys are definitely winning the firefights. They do seem to be fighting as a squad, as a section, in comparison to the VDP boys. Some poor situational awareness here. 9595. VDP guys should have seen those guys moving.
Yeah, I'm currently on board the squad in the south that was trying to rush back, but they got intercepted and only one of them have survived that engagement. A lot of the infantry is trying to reinforce from the second cap, and I can also see on the map they're bringing forward one of their MSPs that went down, so they only have a few people left on cap with KGK pushed in. It might be time for VDP to start pulling out maybe and start thinking about the second cap. They are also behind on tickets now by almost 40.
Does appear to be the case. They're moving their armored back. Armor isn't damaged, but they're moving it back towards one of the other cap zones there, beside Oivar's nest. So, not a fan of the one-man tanking from Samuel Giza here in the Churchill. The Churchill's a mighty beast, and it shouldn't be treated with a one-man crew, in my opinion. But you see they've got another armored vehicle over there, I believe.
I think his crewman got killed by that AT that's chasing them on the map. So
yeah, that might have been it.
I will say though, VDP is looking I can definitely see how they've improved on their defense over the early rounds that I've been casting. They've definitely picked up on tactics. This wider defense and trying to hold areas of the map is definitely a lot stronger suited to competitive play. So they're definitely not out of this yet. They are doing a good job holding that first cap. They are getting reinforcements there steadily. We'll have to see if it keeps up though, or if KGK come back with a final push to wipe them out on that first cap.
Yeah, sadly, the trickle-down system doesn't work too well in terms of reinforcements. I find, for every guy that trickles in, a guy on the cap dies, so it's not really worth it. Your reinforcements need to be proportionate to the attack you're getting from the enemy. And we see here the 7ID boys are starting to move in. There's a tank on the flank, though. It's just started opening up on them, so that could be dangerous for that squad there.
The Firefly and Churchill have just arrived. I don't know if it's going to be enough to help hold this cap, though. We'll have to see. I can hear a Stuka coming in now.
Struck inbound.
Stuka landed deep towards the second cap. The Churchill's engine has been taken out. It did manage to kill the AT chasing it, but the Churchill is now on about 40% health as well, so that Churchill needs to be rescued and supported by infantry. That is a big asset if they lose that early on.
You see the 91st Panzer Division boys taking out some of the enemy infantry in the trenches, just due southeast of the objective there. Some good work from that Panzer IV.
Yeah, the 91st PCV guys are extremely well versed in their tanks. They did an incredible job in the first round. I would say probably the best tank crews we've seen in the season so far, with how they're working and communicating with infantry and their other tank crews. And once again, that's carried on in this game. And that's the P4 short barrel. That is one of the worst German tanks theoretically in the game, and they're still doing good work with it.
Yeah, as far as options go, that wouldn't be my first, but certainly, as I said earlier on, the tank crews, you can't dictate the deck that you're given, but you've got to do your best with what you've got. We've just seen a team kill there from Gotts von Berchlingen to Mr. Blonde. I'm not sure why he did that, but okay.
Oh, the Storm guys, KGK, as good as they were in the first round, they did get a lot of team kills as well, I will say that.
Well, when I say team kill, I mean that he knew what he was doing. I'm not sure why he did that. I'll have to find out after the game. I see Dalen. He's wheeling away in that vehicle. Let's get our eyes towards the cap again, see what's going on.
I'm currently on the north side of the river where the KGK MSP is. It has been spotted by Simus, who's a pioneer. He's trying to take it out. His gammon bomb fell a little bit short, and now he's having to battle KGK infantry to try and take out the MSP. So far, he's doing good. He's got himself a couple little kills, and then he gets hit by a grenade. Unfortunate for him. He was almost on it.
A lot of reinforcements from VDP coming in from the southeast south. Already in contact with several Sturm members, but they're trying to get into the cap. Sturm appear to have control over the houses on location. It's an interesting one. I think they're holding on for bare life here, VDP, but they really need to get some perimeter and some space around this cap zone if they want to hold on to it for sure.
Yep. And those tanks could do a great job if they pushed in from the south. I know they're going to be a little bit risky, but if they can come in from the, well, it would be the west of cap, if they could come and support that flank, get behind the KGK guys that flanked in from behind, they could swing it back into the defenders' favor. But this Firefly is all on its own. It's got infantry sneaking up on it, so it's going to have to be careful.
You see a smoke barrage just to the north of the cap zone there. Not sure who that was for.
We've got Eggman sneaking up on the Firefly. He's a pioneer. He's got his magnetic mine out, one placed. So this Firefly is going to be disabled.
Good work. That's something we tragically don't see enough of in the competitive scene, is tank security. If you can't keep your tank safe, the tank can't keep you safe. That's my mantra.
That's true, that's true. Especially with how the meta is in the game at the moment. Tanks, everyone kind of thinks they're invulnerable. They're not. Tanks are so weak in this game with the current meta. You really do need to support your tanks with infantry. Just one shot from anything and they can just be gone.
Most definitely. Some really good gunfight in there from Enigma. Took down 3 guys with his MP40 and quick bursts in succession. That was good gunfire there.
Yeah, I am impressed though from VDP. It looked a little bit shaky for them there for a little while, but they have managed to get the reinforcements back on the cap, and they are still holding on to it. So a little bit of a shaky start, but they're doing a good job here of re-securing the cap. They are behind on tickets though, and that is going to be a problem. They need to start getting some asset kills. They need to start taking out tanks, MSPs, start evening up those tickets a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. They've done well to get back on cap. Again, though, Sturm still got a strong presence on the on their flanks and rear. So, with that comes the added difficulty of not being able to guard your flanks properly. So the VDP guys need to start properly getting onto the cap. Need to commit. Or if they don't commit, they need to go just start getting organised on the other cap because it's rather precarious.
Yeah, I was watching that Puma for a second, and that Puma it's sneaking behind the enemy lines. It's looking to cut off Logi trucks, MSPs, anything he can get its eyes on. Also, that Puma is capable of taking out the Firefly and Churchill, so the tanks for VDP are going to have to be careful. You can't write off that Puma. Puma is an incredibly strong and versatile vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favourites to use when I do tank. Absolutely. They get
100%.
some good kills.
I can see KGK have kind of reorganized themselves now. They've got Squad 6 pushing in from the east side. They've got infantry coming in from the north and west. A big push coming in from the south. That encirclement has continued here. And, you know, KGK aren't out of this yet. They're still fighting for that. Oh, and there goes the
Tanks just gone
Churchill.
down. Yep, Churchill's down. Pioneer just killed it.
Yeah, that's Loser, who was chasing the tanks earlier. He looks like he's managed to finish off the job. And also the Firefly is on about 50% health, and it's parked right next to some infantry, so this Firefly's going to have to be careful as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a precarious situation. We've got Enigma, or Eggman as you like to call him, coming up on the flank there. In a
Eggman,
position
yeah.
to be able to take it out. Got one infantryman guarding it, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think.
Got Kiki with the kill on Eggman, so that's going to keep the Firefly secure a little while.
Exactly 25 minutes remaining in the match. It's looking alright for VDP on the cap at the minute. They seem to be responding appropriately to all the main points of contact they're getting.
And 25 minutes, those minutes can go quickly. If VDP can hold on onto this first cap, that's going to be a big win for them going into the second match where they'll be on the attack. So really impressed with VDP here. Great job from them. A little bit shaky at the beginning with that big push from KGK, but they've managed to dig in and hold on. So see if they can keep that up.
Commander Jeep for VDP just went down there to the Panzer IV. Wasn't crewed, lucky enough.
There's a big red wave coming in though, and it looks like the red wave has majority on the cap at this point. So either VDP need to start getting some more reinforcements onto the cap, or the first cap is going to fall because the majority is KGK. And
what we see here is the Puma there ripping apart a VDP infantry squad bound for the cap. So it's going to set them back quite majorly.
We've got the P4 with Mr. Blonde and Dalen rolling in now as well, getting onto the cap, looking to clear out the last defenders. And this looks like this will be the fall of the first cap. How do you pronounce this cap again?
Let me check the map. Vogelenzine, I think.
Vogelenzine, okay. You know, I was actually learning Dutch for a long time. I spent a long time there.
Yeah, couldn't tell.
No, I can say Ik ben een man, and that's about it.
There you go.
Oh, and Brood and Sap. But yeah, this is looking very strong for KGK. I think the first cap is going to fall for them. The infantry from VDP is just too far away to reinforce at this point, and with their tanks out of action temporarily, and there we go, neutralized. So if I was VDP at this point, I would start thinking about falling back and just giving up on the first cap.
What we're seeing here from VDP is quite unfortunate. They're getting into positions where they can make an effective change to what's going on in the cap zone, but because of their squad setup, they're not making as much of it as they could. You know, if they communicated more cohesively as a squad, I said that earlier on. I think in their early games, their cohesiveness on the attack was quite poor, in my opinion. That's something they definitely need to work on. They need to work on their coordination between squads and maintaining situational awareness as well. That's something they don't seem to be too good at the minute. But again, new to the competitive scene, with a really, you know, veteran group of guys such as these they're facing up against, it's going to be a difficult one to compete. But they're doing all right so far. We just need to get set up on the next cap.
Speaking of the next cap, the cap has been taken, so we're going to be moving on to Honnetsfield now. I've got to say, yeah, VDP up against probably the strongest team they've ever played so far. And I've got to say, they were quite impressive in that first cap. They've definitely learned and adapted a lot. And they're definitely not out of this match yet. They are behind about 89 tickets. So they're going to have to watch out for ticket lead. But time on the board, there's only 36 minutes. It took them a long time for KGK to take that first cap. If they can repeat that on the next caps, they might be able to win this on time allowance.
Yeah, potentially. Oh, we see the artillery coming in from the commander of the German side there.
Yeah,
Some good RT taking out the guys trying to get onto the cap zone. That was a smart move. We've always seen the KGK and some of the other guys, you know, culling in assets have been strong points there.
Exactly. The Firefly was also taken out. It got ambushed by two AT-men on its way back to the second cap, actually. So 2 heavy assets lost for VDP on the defense. They've lost a Churchill and a Firefly. If I remember rightly, they'll either have 1 more Firefly or 1 more Churchill as their heavy tanks.
Fingers crossed the armored deck has been favourable for them. I would hate to lose all my armour just on the first cap. It makes the rest
Yeah.
of the game exceptionally difficult. And what we see here as well, the 91st Panzer guys, they're well back in the rear. Looks like they're going to move into a position where they can repair somewhere not too far from the Allied main.
Yep. One thing I like about KGK on the attack as well, they waste no time at all. They're already moving into position onto the next cap. You can already see squads on the north, west, and also approaching from the south. I really love that aggressive, speedy attitude to give the defenders no time to push out and get into the defensive perimeters. So
yeah, that's the thing.
Even with 3 minutes still for the cap to unlock, they're already pushing it. They don't give a damn. If they can get on the cap and start securing it, they're going to just wait out the timer until it unlocks anyway.
Yeah, smart move, absolutely. The less time you can give your enemy to set up on his defense, the more time you can exploit that which he hasn't taken advantage of. So, you know, smart move to move in as quickly as possible.
Yep. I can see Eggman squad was pushing in from the east, but they've been spotted. Good grenade by Eggman. He's the only one alive for his squad currently, and he's pushing the way forward.
Are you sure you still want to keep calling him Eggman? Because his name is Enigma. Like,
No,
it's literally right there. All right, okay.
It's Eggman.
All right, you do you, bro.
Good defense in the north though. VDP like been holding back the push that was coming down from the north. The infantry that took that first cap, they've been delayed a little bit by this slowly retreating VDP squad, and they've got that rally in that northern building there, this little straw house building, and they've delayed quite a lot of the KGK infantry for time being. So
yeah, that's really good to see, especially, you know, rear security is always a very important thing when you're doing an organized retreat. So it's good to see these guys are actually sticking around and keeping off the attackers coming down the main roads.
Yep, 100%. But KGK doing what they've done every single game. They've got squad pushing in from the south, the north, they're wrapping around to the east and west. VDP's going to have to be careful. If they get pinned into this cap, the mortars are just going to bomb them out. The mortars have actually already got a few kills that I've been seeing. So they're going to have to be careful because this is an open field and they're only that large warehouse and that real small building that they can hide in as hard cover from those mortars. So they don't want to be pushed back too far. They do want to keep map control around the cap as much as possible.
Yeah, we've seen how deadly mortars can be in competitive matches. Best is the best example, pardon the pun. But certainly, yeah, you do not want to be out in the open when these mortars start hammering the cap.
Yep, especially against KGK. I mean, we saw how they used that 88mm early on. They've got experienced tank crews. They don't even need the mortars. With an open cap on a map like this, where it's very flat and able to get into good positions with cannons, you could fire onto the cap and just take out a lot of the defenders just with indirect fire with tanks and artillery pieces. VDP doing a good job again. What's that keyword again from 6GA?
Sporadicity, mate.
And look at VDP on the defense. They're very well spaced. This is something they've adapted definitely from the earlier matches where they used to group up quite a lot. They're definitely learning and adapting, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Again, it can be a blessing and a curse. It depends on the cap. This one, when you've got enemies crawling in from all over your angles, it's really good to be quite sporadic and spread out. But we can see here the Sturm guys who have just spawned on this rally, these couple of rallies over here, they're winning the firefight en masse. They're putting rounds down range, keeping people's heads down, and in doing so are able to move up to the cap effectively as a squad. That's something that we've not seen from VDP on the defense, which I think is to their detriment.
Yeah, I'm just looking on the map quickly, and a Puma has spotted a MSP in the south and is giving chase. I would say that's one thing VDP has struggled with this match so far, effective use of their tanks. Every time they bring a tank out, it's either intercepted by the Puma or roaming AT. It's been a real hard game for their tanks, and they have got to travel a long way. It takes them about 2 to 4 minutes, depending on the tank, to get to these first caps. So it's been really hard for them. I feel if they can get a tank on cap, keep it immobile around cap, like a Churchill or Firefly, it will be devastating to the attackers to have to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as the whoever's in the tank, if they keep their mobility, they stay alive. Because if you stay stationary in a tank on this map against guys like these, it's going to be really difficult to make an effective difference because you're going to be bombed or you're going to be shot by their tank. So if I was VDP right now, I'd be looking to take a light vehicle, a couple of light vehicles if they've got them, and start,
Yep.
whipping about the flanks and try to take out rallies and MSPs, because that's what hamstrings an attack all day, every day. Take out the rallies and the spawns, they can't effectively attack.
100%. The Staghound and the Daimler are excellent with that. Probably the best light tanks in the game currently due to their speed, lots of ammunition, agility. If we saw some Daimlers and Staghounds come out of there, that would really put a dampen on the KGK attack.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, that's what I'm hoping to see from these guys. They've got the 91st Panzer Division boys. They've got tanks quite close to their main here, so they need to be quite careful. It looks like the Churchill is what they've gone for. The VDP guys have taken out a Churchill, so hopefully they can get a bit of situational awareness about them and make an effective change on that cap.
Yep. And I keep over in the map, and every time I just see red circling around the cap. And the circle gets tighter and tighter as VDP have been pushed all the way back into the cap hardcover buildings now. It's not looking too good for them. They really need to get some assets, tanks, or more infantry to start pushing out, doing flanks of their own to take out the spawns of KGK.
You see an anti-tank gun here from CMAS. I don't see an enemy tank to start engaging, but with that 6-pounder there, you can do some damage to the enemy, so hopefully he does so. There's an enemy infantryman running up on his flank.
And we've got a new tank on the field now, and it's a Panther. It looks like the 91st PCD boys, they retired the P4. I don't think it was destroyed. I think they just simply took it back to main base to save it. And now they've brought out a Panther. Now they know they need something a little bit heavier to punch a hole through the defenders here and to get ready for those allied tanks.
I think it might have something to do with the fact that the terrain here is a lot more open than the prior cap zone.
Yep.
So, with more open terrain, you definitely need something that can tank a shell or two. So I think that might be their methodology there.
Definitely. And they also, they have the knowledge knowing that they've already destroyed a Churchill and a Firefly, so they know this Panther is going to be safer on the board now, knowing 2 of the allied heavy tanks are already gone. And Eggman has managed to get into the cap. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually started neutralizing, because there aren't really any VDP defenders there. So this cap will start to be neutralized. You can see a couple of defenders rushing back now. You've got that 6-pounder starting to fire on the Panther and actually hitting a good shot there. Panther's down to about 60% health.
Yeah, it looks like the guy on the AT gun, he's been taken out, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. He did land a good shot on that Panther. It was a side shot as well. If he just aimed a little bit more accurately, he could have ammoed Panther potentially.
Jesus Christ, we've just seen Internoto from 7ID ripping apart these VDP infantrymen there with his Strungover.
You can see the VDP infantry trying to rush back onto the cap. KGK are now contesting the cap completely. That Panther raining down from the south as well with a machine gun and heavy ordnance. Not looking good for VDP here on the second cap.
Yeah, it's going to take something special to get these boys back and control this cap zone. We still see a lot of VDP infantry out on the flanks, potentially starting to looking for spawns and MSPs and the like. It looks like they've actually located one. Skiros of Sturm has taken that out of the fight. It's unfortunate they didn't do that a bit earlier, because I think in doing so they would have given themselves an easier time if they'd had a squad or maybe one of the armored cars on hunting spawns, but it is what it is. They'll just have to do with what they've got now.
Yep. I mean, I will give it to VDP. They've done a good job defending the north. KGK have basically been pushed out the north temporarily, but in doing so, they've lost a lot of defense on the cap, and it's allowed KGK to just basically walk through the back door with that tank support and get on cap. Speaking of through the back door, though, that Panther's been hit again by something, and it's down to about 20% health now. One hit by anything, and this Panther might go down.
Looks like Berklingen has jumped out to provide flank security for the tank. Looks like Lauren of the VDP over there potentially had some sort of Piat or AT capable weapon.
Good strafe there, good effort. 2 strafes on the Panther. Not hugely effective, but
Scared them.
Yeah, it definitely scared them. And look at this for VDP now. They've brought back one of their entire squads from the north to come clear up the second camp. That's actually really good play by them. They know the north is secure. They pull their squad back now, and they're just pushing down in a nice little infantry wave, clearing out the cap. And this is basically going to reset the cap temporarily, and we'll see if VDP can hold on for a little bit longer. You can see there's a big organized push coming in from KGK on the southwest now.
First man in, last man out. Enigma on the cap there, or Eggman, sorry. He's chucked it, he's deed. So good effort there from Sturm getting on the cap zone and capping it early. But yeah, as you see on the old chat there, they're saying close the net. You know, the enemy are scrambling. They're pulling in guys from all over the shop. As you say, big wave coming in. So it'll be interesting to see how VDP react to this one.
And that's something I can't see. I actually can't see the KGK team chat, but something they did very well in round one that I haven't seen any other team do. They communicated everything. Everything through text chat, so the whole team was aware of the situations. They didn't have to rely on their squad leaders and commanders to share the information. They put a lot of their information in text chat, and it's the only team that I've seen make heavy use of text chat.
Yeah, you know, I'm seeing it in this game and the last as well. It's interesting to see because nobody else that I know of does that to that great extent, certainly, and it makes sense because when you're in situations like these in these games, communications between squads and squad members can get very panicked, especially when you're under a lot of pressure. Things can get misconstrued and miscommunicated, so text chat removes that completely. It's a very,
100%.
very sensible thing.
100%. And the Panther went down vital, finishing off that Panther as it was returning back to get a repair. So that's a big asset loss there for the Germans, but there is a huge infantry push coming in from the south and the west. Can VDP hold on under this immense infantry pressure now?
Fingers crossed. I definitely hope so. The guys have fought really well so far. They fought hard to get the cap back in control, and it would be a shame to see them lose it. I'm not seeing too much spatial awareness here. We see QMR. He's got guys moving up on his right flank. Nishi there, German bugger and Gernhard. So need to be careful, making sure they're keeping their eyes and ears open.
100%. I'm just heading south now. The Puma that they've had out since the start of the game, that's on about 20% health, and it's rushing back to main base now. So VDP doing a good job with their tank asset, tank killing assets at this point, scaring away the German tanks. It might help ease up the pressure on the cap temporarily as the Germans are out of armor support.
Fingers crossed. We know those HE shells and those machine guns from the Panther and the like were really doing a number on the VDP guys. So hopefully they can use this as a chance to stabilize and maybe get a bit of a perimeter set up off the cap instead of just constantly being pressured back into the cap area.
Yeah. Maybe even get their own tanks on the cap now that there's no German armor in the field. If they pulled over their Churchill, that would be absolutely devastating. Now you can actually see the Allied tanks are slowly starting to move to the battle. Are they going to get there in time though to support the infantry? We have a Churchill and a Sherman, so two incredibly versatile infantry support tanks. If they got to the field, that would absolutely definitely change things in the defenders' favor.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's send that Sherman 75 just off the cap zone to start sniping enemy infantry. That they've bloody flipped the Churchill. They've flipped it. They've spotted the German MSP. They're on top of it right now. But Levrin and Nordestino, they flipped their Churchill, and that is not a good thing to see. That's quite the cock up. Hopefully they can sort their shit out.
I don't think I've ever seen a flipped Churchill before. That is
That's all sorts of dumb. I hate to see it. The dude needs to get out the tank. Does he know he can flip it? I hope he does.
I hope he does as well. But if they can take out that MSP, that is a 10 tickets. Going to change things towards the Allies' favor. But look at the cap now. The red names have pushed in once again. VDP are struggling to deal with the infantry being pushed in. They have rallies nearby. Is a complete contested cap at this point.
Duke out on cap there. Just took out a good number of infantry.
Yep. Actually, the KGK commander went down there, so that's going to slow up the capping potential for KGK a little bit. It has been neutralized.
Yep, they have indeed. So VDP look like they're scrambling a little bit here. They're bringing in the guys from the northeastern, the eastern flank there. They're bringing them back into the cap, same as the guys from the northwest. They should have done this a little bit prior, I think. Again, not good communication if you're not aware there's the zone's being decapped.
Yep. Artillery bombardment came in there. I imagine that was from VDP. Got a couple of kills, but not enough to clear out this cap. So we've got a just a tug and war battle going on at the moment. If that Churchill can come in and Sherman can get here in time, it might save the cap.
Yeah, it's looking a bit late, to be honest.
Yeah, and the Sherman's actually being distracted with infantry flanking it on all sides at this point. So the Sherman is basically fighting for its life at the moment as it's swarmed by infantry.
I hope they managed to get that bloody Churchill back on its belly. It looks like they have. They've taken out the German. No, they haven't. They've not taken out the German NSP. Hopefully he's about to do that right this second. Yeah, having one whole spawn blocked off by the enemy is not good in these types of games, especially in MSP. It's quite the ticket count, so
yeah.
hopefully they
and there goes the cap. The cap has been taken, so we're going to move on to the third cap now. Time on board, 35 minutes. Still enough for VDP do this. They've shown potential on defense, and the caps are only going to get harder and harder for KGK now, so definitely still a possibility for VDP to pull out the win here on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the ticket count of the German team here, it's not looking too bad at all. They're doing quite well in their KD ratio. We see some of the VDB guys spawning on cap just now. Those Sturm guys, I think they maybe messed up a little bit, not getting guys on this cap sooner, because if they had guys there already, they'd be in a pretty good position to start off. But
looking at the tanks as well, the Germans are bringing out a second Panther, so that'll either be their last heavy or they'll have a Tiger to come and support it at some point. So second Panther coming out for KGK, another heavy tank that's going to have to be dealt with. VDP have actually done a good job tidying up the cap. A little bit too late, though, tidying up that cap.
I was just about to say, yeah, really unfortunate that they were so late in getting to the cap and wiping out the Sturm infantry. It was just a second too late. If they'd done it a bit quicker, they might have saved the cap.
Yep, so we're on to the third cap now. How do you pronounce this one?
Bars Camp.
Bars Camp. Kind of similar to the cap we just saw. It's two small buildings surrounded by open fields with trees to its north. So, gonna be similar kind of defense, really. The only difference, you have this thick tree line just to the north of it.
What would you do here, Yaz? If you're in command, what are you telling VDP to do here? What do they need to do?
I really think they need to utilize their tanks more. I think they've been doing a good job with their infantry. They're spreading out, they're taking map control, but it's just that tank support. They always lack it when it's needed most. If that tank arrived earlier to the cap, I think they would have actually held that second cap.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's a shame that they flipped that Churchill. That was quite funny to see. Hopefully they never do that again. But yeah, certainly if they'd managed to get that armor on scene a bit sooner, and maybe even take out one of the Sturm rallies, that could have made all the difference. And it is honestly a shame that we're not seeing more use of armored cars or light tanks from the allies here.
100%, 100%. So KGK kind of a lull in their attack at the moment. They got wiped out, but they're already making use of that fob in the north. You can see all the transport vehicles starting to rain down from that fob in the north. I imagine they're filled with squad leaders and radio men waiting to jump into position, drop down a rally. Then we're going to see a lot of red quickly on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see that VDP are keeping a bit of a further barrier than they have been on the cap. Again, that could be a blessing or a curse. We've seen it be a curse so far. Hopefully they get that shit squared away. I really wish you could see the Sturm in the chat here talking about Brazilian she-males. It's really interesting spectator stuff.
One thing VDP is lacking here is a squad watching over to their, what would that be, the western flank. That western flank is completely exposed, and that's just going to allow KGK to walk right in if they don't deal with that quickly. A lot of their infantry is still a long way away at the second cap. They need to start falling back quickly, or else they're just going to be taken by surprise.
Again, we're not seeing great defense on the cap here. We've got the VDP guys. They're all looking in a couple of directions, northeast through southeast. They're all in that area. And I really think they should, keep eyes on every corner. That's certainly something I'd be asking my guys to do if I was in charge of this, because we can already see, 7th Infantry Division guys and some Sturm squads over in the north and the southwest moving down this riverbed into the rear of the cap zone. That's dangerous, because if you can get a good rally point that's quite clandestine in one of these areas, you're practically guaranteed free access into the back of the cap. So you need to switch on, keep their eyes open, maybe make some use of binoculars. I've not seen too many people with their binos out, but hopefully they can learn their lesson for the second round here, if nothing else.
100%. And as stated a couple of minutes ago, that big red wave is starting to push in now from the north. Smokes have gone out. They've dropped their rallies. They've all spawned in on the rallies, and they've already pressing VDP on the edge of this wood line, whilst they've got infantry pushing in from the south as well. So, and an MSP for VDP just went down, so they've lost their nearby spawn already. So they're going to have to rally the last seconds of the hard spawn and their squad rallies quickly, or else they're going to be in trouble once again. They do have a tank on the board, though, so that's good. They have a tank on the cap. It's that Sherman, so that's going to help their defense quite a lot.
Yeah, the Sherman's driving towards the German commander's car. He's not seen it yet. Loser just went down.
Yeah, that's actually lucky for the Sherman. Loser is an incredible AT player. He's already got a couple of tank kills this game. So actually lucky that infantry spotted Loser. And they've actually cleared up. They've held back that small squad for time being, so that's good there by the VDP defenders. But look over towards the east. You've got Squad 8 all the way over to the east of Cap. Basically, so far away, half VDP's team is nowhere near the Cap, and they're going to get sandwiched by tanks if they're not careful.
Yeah, I was hoping to see these guys start falling back a little bit. I'm not really sure what they're doing over here. It doesn't serve too much of a tactical purpose. It's a good position to hold. But if you've not got the hard armor support here, there's not much use in being there. All in all, they are starting to trickle back now, though.
Yeah, but are they going to arrive in time? Because we can already see KGK have almost taken the edge of that forest in the north. They're pushing in from the south. They've got that Puma now on scene. It's got Squad 5 coming in from the east. Then Squad 6 coming in from the northeast as well. Once again, KGK doing an excellent job surrounding the cap and slowly tightening in the noose.
Yeah, I've seen it time and time again. Every season you've watched these guys play, it's the same thing. So, you know, you would hope people were more used to it by now. If I was VDP, I'd maybe be going back to the boardroom and watching some old games of the ladder tournament, keeping an eye on, you know, the methodology these clans utilize. They're often quite similar, so it makes sense to brush up.
We currently have the Puma engaging the Sherman. The Sherman's going to go down to the Puma. That's unfortunate for the Sherman there. They finally had a tank on point, VDP, but it's just been sniped by that Puma. Got to watch out for that Puma. That's what it does best. Ambushing, getting in, hitting, then driving away quickly. I think we've got the Churchill trying to arrive back on scene in the south as well. For VDP, it just drove past the MSP. They might actually be able to ambush this Puma. They've got 80 nearby. They know where the Puma is. It's been marked. Churchill might be able to take out the Puma.
Fingers crossed. They are on a location able to do something about it, so fingers crossed they do make use of that tank.
Yeah, I just saw the Panther's engine just got disabled as well, and that VDP infantry have ambushed this tank. They killed one of the crewmen. They've got the engine disabled. They might be able to take out the Panther here, which would actually be devastating to the attackers.
Oh, the Puma has just killed one of the enemy infantrymen, the VDP guys, Friedrich de Grosse, moving towards that Panther. So unfortunate they couldn't utilize their AT guys a little bit better there, but well done to those 91st Panzer boys taking out that infantry. Yeah,
excellent coordination as always between their tanks, sharing information well and supporting each other when needed. Not looking good for VDP on the defensive. They've lost their MSPs. Their rallies seem to be going down. They're being pressed on all sides. Look at the red waves starting to push through the trees now in the north. Defenders getting thinner and thinner. And they've also got pressure coming in from the west and now the south.
Yeah, if you just you know go out of the cap zone a little bit and have a wider overview of the cap, you see these massive gaping holes that VDP are leaving wide open in the line. Now, whilst they're doing pretty good, I think at the minute they could be doing a lot better. And I think the underutilization of their armored vehicles, lack of coordination between the squads is definitely costing them here.
Yeah, they actually managed to scare away the Panther though. The Panther's down to one crew. The Puma's on lower health. One more hit on the Puma and it will actually go down. So they have temporarily pushed away the tanks from KGK again. But it's going to be the infantry from KGK that's going to be delivering the killing blow here as they encircle the cap yet again. Got KGK dropping some artillery now northeast of cap. They've taken out a few of the defenders. That's going to allow them to push in deeper and deeper.
Yeah, it's the one thing we're seeing time and time again. 7 ID, Sturm, they're just winning. They're winning every firefight they get engaged in. You know, CQB obviously it's every man for himself, but at these mid to long range distances, these guys are really just pulling it out of the hat tonight.
Yeah, so KGK specialize in, the Storm guys especially, they specialize in their infantry play, their strong, fast-paced blitzkrieg style. And that's what we're seeing again on show here.
Absolutely. It's great to see, don't get me wrong, especially in, when you're not on the receiving end of it, like I have been many times, and yourself included. You know, they're really, really not fun all the time to play against, but when you watch them from a perspective like this, you can see, you know, the amount of training and excellence they put into their work here.
100%.
Same with the VDP guys on their gameplay as well. They're not bad players at all. I just think they're underutilizing themselves, if anything, here.
Yeah. They're starting to get reinforcements back on cap, though. That noose has tightened. There's basically 2 holdouts now. You've got the cap itself and that small farming hamlet north east of the cap. So VDP, once again, they're starting to be suffocated a little bit. Can they hold on? They need to get some kind of hard spawn nearby as well, because they're reliant on rallies, and those rallies, I think their locations have been spotted and they are known. Can they get that Churchill to come and support? If that Churchill arrived unseen instead of being all the way south on its own, that's really not how you want to utilize the Churchill, especially.
Yeah, you know, the Churchill's a thick boy, as it were. It really should be utilized in an infantry support or cap support vehicle role. I don't think it's really any use all the way out there. We see the commander as well for the Brazilians here, VDP, out on his own towards the river. Oh, Yasa. Interesting position to be in. He's obviously looking for spawns and rallies. Maybe the logistics too. If it was us, the 6 guards, we would have had a squad dedicated to that. You know, our Logi guys would be out and about and doing the business. So
Yeah.
interesting to see the commander doing their job there.
I think he's actually found the fob, though, in the north, has he not?
Looks like it. Yeah, it looked like it.
And it looks like their Logi team might have almost found the fob in the south as well. So if they can take down those fobs, that might give them a little bit of breathing room, but I don't think those fobs are actually active at the moment. KGK are using their rallies that have got almost onto the cap itself, so... Although it's good to take them out, it's not going to help things at the moment because KGK have actually got into the cap and they're starting to clear out the cap now. They have majority. Can VDP hold on now?
See a smoke barrage coming in here.
VDP holding on the best they can.
Yeah, Sturm are getting in amongst the houses here. The closing in of the envelopment they've got going on is really taking its toll on the VDP guys. Hopefully they can regain control of the cap.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue VDP have at this point is their spawns. With that MSP gone, the moment they lose a rally, they have to spawn all the way back at the next hard spawn or wait for an MSP to be in position. They have temporarily managed to get majority on cap, but look at all the, when you zoom in on the map and you see all the red names coming in, it's like Velociraptors in Jurassic Park. All the red names swarming towards the cap. Yeah,
it's a bit of a tidal wave with these guys. You know, strong, aggressive, coordinated attacks on these cap zones. That's what we need to see from VDP. We need to see more coordination, more situational awareness between the squads. I don't know if they're all Brazilian or if there's some multinational issues in there. I know with other clans and stuff like that, cross-communication through language barriers can be a bit of a pain sometimes. So hopefully they can work on that for the second round and be a bit more of a solid state entity rather than a bit of a liquid as they are now.
Yeah. I do believe they all speak Portuguese. I could be wrong. Time on board, 22 minutes. And it looks like KGK are going to start neutralizing the third cap. So VDP, they are holding out. They're doing a good job. But at this rate, they are going to lose the match on caps. I can actually see all their rallies seem to be down now, apart from one. They're having to spawn on the fourth cap that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Do you want to try to pronounce the fourth cap?
All right, give me a bash. Where is it? Oivar's Nest.
Yeah, that seems pretty alright. So the fourth cap is what he said. It looks like KGK are going to secure this cap. I don't see any defenders. I see one defender left in the perimeter of the cap itself. So VDP are going to be on the fourth cap now. it is going to start getting a little bit harder for KGK on the attack. These caps start to get a little bit more in the defender's favor. They're closer to main base. There's a lot more hard cover. But you can see, look at the KGK guys. They've already got a storm squad with Eggman getting in position on the 4th cap, ready to start cutting down those defenders as they spawn. And there we go. The cap has been neutralized.
Yeah, neutralized. Looks like Sturm's going to grasp this one as well. As I said last time, Sturm were a bit slippy on the cap from last one to this one, so hopefully this time they get on it a bit quicker, maintain security for their sake. VDP, again, they're spawning on that 4th cap. Hopefully they can, for their own sake, thin out the Sturm guys there. It's going to be a tough fight for VDP. They've lost quite a lot of tanks. They've been on the back foot since the 1st cap, so hopefully they can regain some of that elasticity they had before and just spread out a little bit.
100%. They're going to have a hard time spawning that 4th cap. I can already see the Storm guys who ran over there getting a couple of kills on the defenders as they spawn. So VDP are not going to have any time on the defense of the 4th cap before they already have to get into some fights. And again, I don't see an MSP near once that hard spawn goes down. So they need to get their rallies down quickly and need to secure that spawn point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's imperative in these games to make sure your back cap is secure, so that if you have had an issue on the first one or the one that you're before, you can get the whole team in and make sure you can get security early. But Sturmgeist doing a really good job of denying them that opportunity to sort of re-coordinate together. So really good work from Sturm, what we're seeing so far. Enigma going an absolute bloody ham with that MP40.
Yep, and the cap has just been taken, so we're on to the 4th cap now. KGK looking strong here. I just saw a shot land on the Panther. The Panther's down to about 50% health from one shot. I'm not sure what hit it, because it wasn't the Churchill, I don't believe. So that Panther's going to have to slow up his approach again and just get a repair.
Yeah, absolutely. That Puma still doing damage. He's still up there, and it's honestly, as a tanker, you'll know yourself, it's really good to see tanks working in unison, especially something like a Puma and a Panther can be a really, really lethal combo together, and it's really good to see it in a competitive scene being used together.
100%. Something I actually, that I'm proud of seeing, I saw them do in last game, the KGK tankers. A lot of public players might not know, or players in general, that a good use of your tanks, having them work together, is to have one tank always with its HE loaded, and the moment your heavy tank gets swarmed, just shoot HE at the tank, because you're not going to do any damage to your friendly tank with your HE, and it's going to kill all infantry around it.
Yep.
And I've seen KGK do that a couple of times this game. They did it last game, where they'll just shoot each other's tanks to make sure all infantry is dead around. And there comes the artillery, speaking of KGK, and a bunch of kills on this cap now.
Really interesting out here at Arnhemish Camp. We see a KGK fob inside this building. The VDP Logi squad is here, and it's combing through the buildings, but they've not found it just yet. I wonder if anything will become of this one. Looks like he's about to get on that.
Yeah, can VDP hold on? 33 minutes back on the board. There's a big red wave coming up from the south now to push onto this 4th cap already. VDP defense having to scramble. A lot of kills actually came in from that artillery bombardment. So that artillery bombardment delayed the defenders there, as they have to scramble to get into defensive positions now. It'll be interesting to see if a tank flies over here, because I only see the Churchill on the field, I think, or is there a Hellcat all the way in the distance? I'll fly over and have a check.
Yeah, we can see these VDP guys.
Come on, camera.
GSH 1920. He's found the KGK fob. It's about to go down with an explosive charge. Yeah, dropped TNT on that one. That's going to set KGK's Logi back a little bit. That was a good position for the final cap at Factory or Drill Village, either or.
So yeah, the VDP boys, they have a Wolverine all the way on the railway track to the east. Kind of out of action, though, at this point of the game. It's not really going to be intercepting anything from the main base, because the FOBs are up, the repair cranes are up for KGK. They don't really need to go back to main base at this point, so that Wolverine may be out of position, not really existing in the battle at the moment. Should more be over helping the defenders at this point on the cap itself. Get those scout cars out. Get this. I haven't seen a Staghound or Daimler yet, which is really a shame for the defenders, because they really are.
Yeah.
Probably honestly, in terms of versatility, the best tanks the Allies can actually field.
At this stage in the game, I definitely think if they want to win this, VDP really should have pulled out the light vehicles. and try and utilize them as in a scouting role or in a fob or spawn hunting role. It would have done them so many favors as compared to having the heavy tanks. We see the Churchill, it's just repaired, and Nishi has hit it once already with AT. He's got the Panzer Shrek here. He's going to get up on the rear. The tank knows he's there, though, so he's going to be quite careful. And they've missed the HE shot.
And this was MVP for round 1 for KGK. Probably looking to get MVP again. Oh, and almost.
He's now mostly valuable pieces instead of most valuable player, so
Yeah,
hard luck to him.
true. Ticket-wise as well, we haven't talked about tickets for a little while. A large opening deficit. Deficit, the right word? A large deficit has opened up in the tickets now, with KGK taking a large lead. And I imagine that's only going to get larger and larger now, as VDP are really struggling at this point.
Again, you know, when you lose the cohesion and the coordination that you have on like the first couple of points, if you start getting on the back foot, you really need to try and recover from that. It's easier said than done. It's a very difficult thing to do. Most teams can't do it, guards included at times, so it's really difficult to try and regain composure and stability when you're on the back foot, so hopefully they can do something to make that work.
100%, 100%. They've still done an excellent job here on defense, especially the team they've come up against, a very strong team, and they've made KGK definitely work for this tonight. KGK hasn't just rolled over VDP, they've had to scrap for every single cap. They've even lost caps at times when there was neutralized and VDP won it back. So all credit to the VDP for having quite a well-organized defense tonight where in places.
Yeah, absolutely. Really British Bulldog type of defense here on the cap zones. You know, they've made, as you say, KGK bleed for every single thing they've gotten so far. So it's good to see such resilient defending from VDP despite being on the back foot consistently. Hopefully, they can maybe learn a lesson or two about the gameplay style of these KGK guys for the next round.
100%, 100%. We can see once again every single cap so far this game, KGK do the same tactic. They just encircle the cap and slowly suffocate the defenders piece by piece, taking out the spawns until the defenders have nothing left, and then just bleed out the last few defenders on cap. And we've actually got KGK halfway on the cap now, probably starting to neutralize at this point.
Yeah, as you say, the noose is tightening. Time's running out for VDP, ticket-wise and indeed time-wise. So it's not looking too great for them at the minute. Again, they've got a rally up not far from the cap. If they can just regain control of the core buildings in the cap zone, and maybe send a squad or two to fight off the reinforcements coming from angles, then hopefully they can keep it going for a little bit longer in order to prepare the next cap.
100%, 100%. Something KGK have done good as well on the attack is they've got their revives out, so they haven't been relying purely on their rallies. They've actually had their squad members that I've been seeing getting a lot of revives out, so they can keep that pressure up constantly. If one person goes down, they'll always try to get them up again, so that pressure is always there in numbers and firepower.
Yeah, it's good to see that. A lot of people, a lot of plans, and even in vanilla gameplay, people will just run past you in order to kill the enemies and then forget about you. But it's good to see that they value getting the guys up and getting back in the fight, and give the medic a bit of an easier time.
100%. The Wolverine just went down to the Panther as well, all the way in the southeast where Squad 7 is. The tank leader managed to jump out and survive, but the Wolverine's gone down now, so we might see a scout car come out at this point. A scout car could really change everything here into VDP's favor a little bit. A Staghound could kill the Puma, deal a lot of damage to the infantry with its drive-bys and its fast speed, its agility. So we'll have to see what they bring out next.
Yeah, hopefully, like I've said already, I've said a few times, it's unfortunate that they've not done that already, and I'm not sure what value it'll do them now, this late in the game, given the ticket deficit. But certainly, if it was me, I would have wanted to have, risked a couple of armored cars early in the game to take out a couple of fobs and MSPs if I could help it.
Speaking of Puma, though, that Puma just got absolutely decimated by one well-placed Piat, so the Puma has gone down.
Very well done. Was that Lucius there or Axel? One of the two, potentially?
I missed who named, but it might have been Vital, actually, who went down afterwards.
Yeah, we see the VDP guys combing through these buildings in the cap zone, starting to clear out the Sturm, which is good. I reckon they've probably got control here, probably about 80% control of the cap zone again, which is good to see. They are holding off the enemy.
100%, 100%. If they can keep this up, they are low on tickets, so they have to take that in consideration. Less than 150 tickets now, and those tickets will disappear quickly. That's 10 tickets for an MSP and a Logi truck. You know, they need to be careful with those assets.
I see, you know, I have seen a lot of VDP guys giving up as soon as they get killed in order to get back into the fight. I think that's a panic thing. People are panicking, wanting to get back in the fight and help out their team. And in order to do that, they're giving up when it's not necessary. So, unfortunate to see that, but again, needs must.
It's going to be a tall order with the 25 minutes to hold with 150 tickets left. They're going to have to be really reserving the tickets they have now. They're going to have to make careful use of the assets they have, make KGK work for everything at this point.
Yeah, it's been some really good fighting. If the second round is anything like the first, I'm really excited to see how the VDB guys are adapting to the KGK tactics and methodology. It's gonna be a good round, the next one for sure.
Yeah.
It's not over yet for VDP though, so
100%. And we've got a second match after this where the teams swap and VDP go on the attack, so we'll be able to see immediately how VDP there on the attack against KGK. KGK had an extremely solid defense in round 1 against the Entente. Didn't lose a single cap, came up with some creative and clever tactics as well on the defense. So we'll have to see if VDP managed to crumple the defense of KGK. So far, well, they've got a clean goal sheet, I think is what you'd call it in football, KGK.
yeah, clean sheet. Yep, absolutely. It's good to see that. It's a hard thing to do, especially in a tournament like this one, but we'll see if they can keep it up all night tonight. If you'll excuse me, I need to be right back. I'll be 2 seconds, pal.
No worries, man. I'm getting to that point myself. I need a little bit of a break. I need to pee. I've been drinking so much, and this first match has gone on for so long. I kind of need a pee myself. KGK looking very strong on the attack here. They've neutralized this square neighborhood. There is no defenders alive in this square neighborhood here. The last holdout for the defenders is in the corner here. This barn, you can see the rallies just on the outskirts of the tree line there. We've got defenders pushing in from the 5th cap, coming through this tree line. Artillery coming down now. I imagine this is artillery from VDP on the defense, getting a bunch of kills there. The point has been neutralized. Good artillery placement. Actually got a bunch of kills there. If they can keep pushing through the barns here, they might be able to re-neutralize the point, get it back, swing it back in the defenders' favor. 120 tickets left for the defenders now, VDP here. So they're looking very low on tickets, and they've got 23 minutes to hold out. That's not a good sign. Very low tickets for the amount of time they need to hold out. They need to make KGK bleed for everything they've got at this point. If this carries on the way it has been going, KGK is going to win the whole match and claim all the caps purely by bleeding out the defenders' tickets here. The Panthers back on scene now. What tanks do we have on the board? There is a tank flanking up from the south from VDP. I imagine that's the Churchill. I don't see a second tank on the field at this point. Second, the Churchill's coming forward. MSP, Al Yazzer was trying to take out the MSP here. Al Yazzer, the commander for VDP, the defenders, tried to blow up the German MSP using the commander machine gun. He got very close. The MSP has been disabled, so Gotts here is going to have to repair it with his wrench so they can move it. They're going to blow up the commander car now. That commander car is going to be worth 10 tickets as well.
Good day. I have returned.
Welcome back. Al Yazzer almost took out one of the KGK's MSPs there, but he got taken out himself. So that's the commander, and the commander car got blown up. So that's another 12 tickets lost there. And point is still neutralized. So I think KGK are going to take this. This is the 4th cap. And 100 tickets left for VDP. Not looking good at this point.
Yeah, you really don't want to be losing assets like your commander, command car this late in the game. I know in other seasons the ticket cost for commanders was a lot higher, and it was a lot more devastating, so they can be thankful for that much. That it's not as much as it used to be, but certainly that's not something I won't be losing this late in the game.
Yeah. Still 10 tickets for a commander car. That's still a lot for a commander car.
Yeah, definitely.
Good thing the tank tickets changed, because I remember last season, halfway through the season, it was the King Tiger was worth 45 tickets. So I can remember a lot of teams refusing to use some of the tanks purely because of how much they were. So I'm glad we actually seen tank tickets reduced.
Yeah, to be honest, it was kind of shit that it happened halfway through the competitive ladder tournament.
Yeah.
It's a bit poor, but ultimately all the teams, ourselves included, adapted to it, made the most of it. In fact, if anything, it made our tankers even more emboldened because they didn't care about the ticket cost anymore. So they were just balls to the wall, gun ho, get in there and kill them.
Yep. We actually got the Churchill ambushed by a squad here just south of Cap as well. One shot by Niz has taken the Churchill down to about 55-60% health. Don't know if the Churchill will be able to save itself. A few mines, I think, was placed then. No, it's still going.
Tanker when I get out of there. It's a dangerous one.
Turrets turn in, one blast behind. Trigger will go down, then Niz.
That's 2-1.
2-1.
There we go. Germans have captured Doivar's nest.
Yep, so that is the 4th cap taken. We're on to the 5th cap now, which is
Drill Village.
Drill Village. I couldn't say it because of the other names. Yep, Drill Village. I always liked this cap because of the church tower. I used to, anytime on a public server, I loved to get in the church tower and just spot for my tank crews and call out, because from this church tower, you can virtually see the entirety of the map. So, but tickets-wise, VDP, 86 tickets now. 284 for KGK. KGK at this point, how much time on the board? 34 minutes. They could take their time at this point. They must know they're ahead tickets-wise, purely because all the assets have been blowing up and the process they've made.
Exactly. They could be quite method smart about it. They could just sit back with the tanks, snipe away. That's all they'd have to do. Whittle down the infantry count and then move in with the infantry when there's not enough left.
Yeah. I always get asked a lot, how do teams know how many tickets the other team has? It just purely comes down to experience. You count how many tanks you've blown up, how many MSPs you've taken out. You can kind of just do simplistic maths in your head, like, oh yeah, we'll probably have the ticket advantage. Just think you pick up with experience. And I imagine KGK, the amount of experience they have, they will know they're quite far ahead of the tickets.
Yeah, most clans in the competitive scene do something quite similar. We did that situational report, basically. When you're platoon commander, you'll ask your guys to account for one by one what they've destroyed, how many they think they've killed. When you've got a rough estimate, you can go and do something with that and sort of weigh up your options. But certainly at this stage, you can tell as well by gameplay. You can tell if an aggressive foe has calmed down a lot. You can tell their tickets are generally a lot lower because they become a lot more cautious about them.
100%. If all of a sudden a barrage of commander assets go out, you probably know they're a little bit desperate as well. Their attacks slow down. Yeah, you know they're a little bit desperate and they're trying to slow things up a little bit. Especially if tanks all of a sudden disappear. If the tanks disappear, you know they're low on tickets.
Yeah, definitely.
So we actually see the Panther just south of Cap hunting down the Churchill. Got a little bit of cat and mouse going on here. The Churchill could win this. Oh, the Panther spotted the Churchill first. It's going to be an easy rear shot for the Panther.
Oh, he's goosed the shot. He goosed it. See Gods von Berchlin on the back there. The binos out trying to spot for his guys.
Yeah. Churchill.
The gunner will be getting a telling off for that one.
Churchill spins round just in time. One shot. Churchill could win this front on APS. Will be able to one-shot the Panther if it hits a well-placed shot. And it's got better armor front on. There we go. It's already taken the health lead and it's got a faster reload.
It's a ricochet from the Panther there. First shot.
And by the Churchill, both Ricochet and a shot there. You can see Nizlo AT sneaking up at the Churchill there with an MSP.
She's on the flank.
One shot with a Panzerschreck in the side, maybe.
It's a dangerous position. Yeah, good hit.
Panther's on about 30% health. Churchill's less health now. Churchill's about 15-20%.
Yeah, Nishi tries to get that other shot off. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Churchill goes down. I think the Churchill would have won that if Nis didn't flank up on the Churchill. So again, good teamwork, good organization there, sharing the information when needed.
Again, you can see now as well. You see the Panther there, and before you know it, the Jagdpanzer they've got on the flank of the Stug 43 here. He was on position, ready to attack also.
Yeah.
So that's the coordination we're talking about with these 91st Panzer Division guys. They're really, really good at that.
Yeah, they live and breed tanks in Postscriptum. That's their bread and butter. well experienced. They knew exactly what to do there. I will say, I like the defense, though, coming out here from VDP. They've kind of made a firing line. They are getting pushed back a little bit. They had a nice little firing line going from north to south there. But once again, KGK starting to flank around with those MSPs, those tanks now. 55 tickets left. Can they hold on to this cap? We'll have to see.
Yeah, you see one of the guys from VDP already on the factory cap over there. He might be getting set up with perimeter defenses and the like. We'll have to wait and see what he pulls out of the bag.
Yeah, and in my team chat now, VDP is saying don't give up. They know they're low on tickets, so they're starting to spread the information between their team, telling people don't give up so easily. Wait for medics, wait for those revives.
Fortunately, again, I think it's maybe a little bit too late for that. If they'd been saying that, you know, consistently throughout the game and put more of an emphasis on good use of medics, then definitely that might have made the difference. But now it's hard to recoup from the losses they've taken.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard at this point. But again, they've had a Valorant defense. They've done good against this strong team here. If I was VDP, I would definitely be proud. It's not an easy matchup they've had. They've come up against probably one of the strongest seeds in this season so far. KGK, everyone knows them. Everyone respects them for the strong gameplay they have. They had a strong showing round one. The only team to take every single cap. And that's a accomplishment in all seasons. I can't think of many matches where the attacking team has taken every single cap.
Yeah, absolutely. See a couple of Sturm players here underneath the surface of the water, moving up under the water like frogmen.
Yeah,
not sure about the ethics of that gameplay, but I'll leave that to the referees. It's none of my business.
We can actually see that they've actually pushed onto the church a little bit now. VDP doing a desperate last stand in the church. Some infantry starting to push on the inside. The south has been completely overwhelmed by KGK, wiping out the defenses of the south of the town. So they're going to start pushing up now, surrounded this church.
Yeah, they're starting to move into the main church as well. You see Rain moving into the objective there. Looks like Enigma, Sweet Kisses, and Rogtad were taken down, along with Skiros and a few other guys. So some good defense over here from the VDP guys. They're falling back to the churchyards. Quite a lot of numbers, actually.
Yeah, and I think VDP has given up on their tanks. I don't see any tanks coming out of main base, so I imagine their tank crews have swapped over to infantry now just to do a one last desperate stand, trying to hold on here. I don't think KGK, even if they take this cap, I think it will probably be over by then, though, with ticket loss as they push in. I can hear the tanks rolling into town now as well. What do we have? Do we have a Stug or is it a Yag? We've got a Stug, a camouflage Stug here just south of the town.
Good RT blast there.
Yeah, 4 rounds there. And KGK continue this encirclement. They're pushing in the north, the south now. Surrounding VDP once again, slowly tightening the noose and suffocating them.
That's it. When you've got the enemy on the back foot, it's far easier to be methodical in your approaches to encirclement. And I think that's what Sturm has realized. They can be a lot more methodical, use the flanks to their advantage. And whilst VDP have put up a really good, fight on the cap, they have failed to keep distance between themselves and the cap zone. They've been herded back in every time. So hopefully, again, they can learn from that next round.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And in round 3, they will be going up against the Entente. And I imagine that will be a good round 3. VDP against the Entente. Both teams have less experience than the teams they've fought so far. So I imagine in round 3, when VDP do go up against the Entente, that'll actually be a good matchup from teams with similar levels of experience.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. That should be good.
You can see the encirclement now coming up all the way on the western side of the cap with Squad 6 leading the charge there.
Yeah, from that little rally they've got hidden in the river there.
Yeah.
Smart move, that.
We've got an Alamo situation from VDP. All the defenders almost pushed inside the large church and the grounds just around it, holding on for as long as they can. And that's what they want to do, because you've got to remember, this season, tickets are valuable, so if they can just bleed out KGK of as many tickets as they can, it is going to make an impact on the scoreboard at the end.
Yeah, definitely. They can use that to their advantage. You see the 91st Panzer Division guys smoking up the church so that they can't see out. as the
Yep.
Sturm guys move in. But we are seeing some really, really good trading here from VDP. You know, VDP guys are going down, but they're taking maybe 1 or 2 Sturm guys each with them. So that
Yep.
is really good to see.
Yeah, KGK have actually lost a lot of tickets in the last couple of minutes. I think they've lost about 40, 50 tickets trying to push on this last cap. Ultimately, it's not going to make much of a difference, but it's still good to see VDP. It shows how strong of defenders they have been, and they can bleed these strong teams when needed.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you know, it was a viable tactic in the last season, the season before. It's a viable tactic now. You can see the logistics sections have done some work inside the cathedral as well to make it even more defensible. So that's gonna only go in their favor as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, 100%, 100%. I imagine if VDP can hold out in this church without losing this church, that'll be a victory in themselves. I remember it was the first round when it was against JTF, and it looked like it was going to be a similar matchup here where JTF were going to win on tickets, but in the end, VDP managed to pull it out within the last few seconds, and they managed to win the game on defense with just bleeding out our last few tickets. So, and it meant so much for those guys. Like, you could hear them all cheering at the end of the match. I've never seen his team cheer so loudly at the end of the match than these boys managing to pull out that victory when they thought they had lost it.
Yeah, it's good to see teams of spirit, you know, especially when you're invested in a game in a competitive sense. The emotions you can go through, good or bad, are quite varied, let's say, from personal experience. So yeah, it's good to see guys that got a lot of passion for this game and don't act like robots.
100%. I will say this match has gone on for so long, and we still got the second match to play after this. I imagine fatigue might be setting in a little bit, so hopefully VDP, I know they're 4 hours behind us, so they probably still have a lot more energy, but that might be an advantage for them going into the second match where they're going to be on the attack after this one.
Well, something you've also got to consider as well is that, you know, these KGK guys have played recently as well, you know, the past couple of days.
True, that's true.
So, you know, they're probably battle fatigued, but if anything, if you're playing consistently, you know, the same game for a couple of days in a competitive environment, you're probably going to be, you know, sort of acclimatized more than you would be if you weren't. So these guys might be on the edge of mental exhaustion, maybe not.
Yeah, KGK are a little bit special in that aspect. They like to play both their matches in one night, opposed to other teams where the majority of teams like to split up their matches one weekend each. So that is something KGK do have. They've trained for. They've got maybe a little bit more endurance going into the second match than VDP.
Oh, they've neutralized Real Village. Oh, looks like, yeah, Sturm starting to get inside the cap on the church. There's a couple of VDP guys up in the tower, but just again, too many guys out with the cap zone and not enough guys on cap, not enough presence to be able to hold off against these enemies.
100%. And KGK will take that cap, but they're going to win the match anyway. 13 tickets left for VDP, so that means they will be granted all the caps anyway, even if they don't take this one, because they are going to win by depleting the enemy tickets. So another strong show from KGK here, and they're honestly looking like they could... Coalition Francophone was one of the favorites in Season 3, but with the performance KGK have been putting on here, the French teams might have a little matchup coming in here from KGK.
I must say, I'm very much looking forward to those matches when they're played. If you're interested, I'll be more than happy to co-cast you on those ones too, because that'll be a spectacle for sure. That'll be a battle of the giants.
100%, 100% will get you in. There goes the cap. The cap has been taken. 11 tickets left, and VDP are falling onto their last cap now. Probably gonna end the match before the cap actually unlocks, but VDP are still playing towards the end here, still giving it all they can. I love to see that. I love to see players that don't give up. They're here competing no matter the result. Gotta love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant to see. It can be very disheartening when you've had an absolute hammering in a competitive game. You know, you can come out of it thinking the absolute worst of Scriptum and everyone who plays it, but it's good to see guys who are, you know, more than willing to stand up and fight till their last tickets. You know.
Yeah, that is true. We actually have a AT gun here. We've got, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Said with the QS6. He's firing on the Stug and Panther with the little AT gun. He's hit a few shots, but most of them are bouncing, and unfortunately he goes down there. I think he was using maybe the wrong ammo type. He was getting a few bounces there where
unfortunate.
APS might have penned through the Panther and taken it out. 3 tickets left for VDP, so it is going to be a KGK victory. They're going to take all the caps here on the attack. And then we're going to swap over and we'll have VDP on the attack after a short break. So good job to VDP here. You know, you fought hard, you fought good. You come up against one of the strongest teams in Season 3. I think you can be proud. You've definitely seen a lot of growth from this team. So if I was VDP, I would hold their head high. Much respect to them. They put on a good show here.
Yeah, most definitely. Showed really strong tenacity and discipline with their performance here. It's unfortunate they couldn't come out. There was definitely a few things that they could tweak to change, but again, you know, being in tournaments like this, it's a learning process. They're new to the competitive methodology of European clans, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and let's see what they can do in the next round.
100%, 100%. Just 1 ticket left, and the match is going to end. And there it is. So, congratulations to KGK. They've won the first matchup here in round 2 on the attack. They've taken all caps. Things are going to switch over now. VDP is going to go on the attack. Let's see how they fare. If you've watched this on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, YouTube. Take care. See you next time, YouTube.